Hi there! Today we're taking some notes on meiosis. So to start, we are going to be talking about how sexual reproduction leads to increased variation. Please answer the first 3 questions before continuing on to listen to the rest of the note section. I would like to talk about number 3 before you get started on the notes, just as a review from our cell reproduction notes from before. Sexually reproducing organisms require gametes to pass on and combine their genetic information. Circle gametes here just so we know that that's the focus of this question. Identify the male and female gametes in humans. The male gamete is the sperm cell. The female gamete is the egg, or egg cell. So, now we need to talk about the 2 forms of cell division. We have already covered mitosis. Okay? Remember, we've got interphase, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. In humans, we start with 46 chromosomes. During interphase, those chromosomes replicate or make a copy. And then during the rest of mitosis, this cell will split into 2, the chromosomes get pulled apart, and a complete set of chromosomes are in each of the 2 daughter cells. These daughter cells are identical to this parent cell. In meiosis, it is very similar, but there's just a little bit more steps. So again, in humans, we start with 46 chromosomes. In interphase, those chromosomes replicate. Okay. The rest of mitosis, in this case, the rest of meiosis, this cell splits into 2. And then that extra step is that this cell actually splits into 2, and this cell splits into 2. So we are left with 4 daughter cells in meiosis, with half of the genetic information as the parent cell. As you can see, 23 and 46 are not the same number, so these daughter cells are not identical to the parent cell. So these 4 cells would be the sperm cells or the egg cells. We go down a little bit more. Mitosis is a form of cell division that results in 2 daughter cells that are identical to the parent. So this definition goes with mitosis. Meiosis is what we start now. So meiosis is a form of cell division that results in 4 daughter cells. With half the amount of genetic information as the parent cell. Meiosis, a form of cell division that results in 4 daughter cells with half the amount of genetic information as the parent cell. Okay? So in humans, that means after meiosis is complete, that our gametes have 23 chromosomes. In other organisms, it's just half of whatever their normal chromosome number is. The site of meiosis in humans, again, we want to try to make those gametes. So in meiosis, gametes for females are made in the ovaries. Ovary in females. That's where the egg cells are made. And the testicles in males. That's where the sperm cells are made. If you flip to the back, we're going to talk about how meiosis leads to variation. So, how does meiosis lead to variation? We've got to talk about gene sorting and recombination. So if you look here, this is another picture of what happens in meiosis, okay, specifically in males. We start with a cell. You see here that there's 1, 2, 3, 4 chromosomes. That genetic material replicates, the cell divides, and then these cells divide again. You are left with sperm cells in this example with 2 chromosomes in each cell, which is half of the original genetic information. Are each of these sperm cells genetically identical? Now, this question is asking if these sperm cells are genetically identical, and the answer is no. So, they are not identical to each other. When the chromosomes replicate and then are divided, and divided again, that is gene sorting. Okay? The genes or the chromosomes are randomly sorted into the sperm cells, which means that each sperm cell has a different combination of genes. So each sperm cell, or each egg cell in humans, has 23 chromosomes. It's a random assortment of 23 chromosomes. So each of the cells made are not identical. Recombination, a definition here is the recombining of genetic information from sperm cells and egg cells. The recombination of genetic information from sperm cells and egg cells. So, the picture right below here depicts recombination. So recombination is basically when the genetic material just gets basically recombined or mixed up again. So this happens a couple of ways. One, just that random assortment of genetic material as the chromosomes are separated into the sperm cells. Okay? So that sort of is depicted here, just a random assortment. This is actually called crossing over, and that happens during meiosis when the chromosomes are paired up with each other. They actually can intertwine the leg of the chromosome, okay, the ones that are next to each other, and they swap their genetic material when they're intertwined. So you end up with a little bit of a section of swapped genetic material. Okay, this is called crossing over, an example of the recombination of genetic material. So for the bottom here, these are just questions to sort of review with you the information that we've done today. Some of the questions refer to mitosis, which we've already talked about. Your notes for mitosis would be helpful for that. It is important with meiosis to realize that all of this genetic shuffling and random sorting of the chromosomes into sperm cells and egg cells leads to a lot of variation or differences within the population, and that's really, really good. The more variation in the population, the more likely it is that that population will continue to survive. So please, for homework, do the stop and jot. I know this says partner practice down here, but please do questions 1 through 4 in the partner practice for homework.